What's going on, guys? In this video, we're getting into why it is important to be process-oriented rather than goal-oriented. Before we get started, my name's Keith. I made this channel to help men create their ideal lives through self-mastery. Be sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any new videos. So let's get into this. The importance of being process-oriented rather than goal-oriented. So here's the problem with being goal-oriented is when you are too goal-oriented, you create a feeling of hopelessness within yourself. Because if you've got this huge goal propped up that you want to accomplish for yourself and you spend a lot of time focusing on that, you start to feel like it's this long, impossible process and it's never going to work. Whereas if you focus on the process and just take the next immediate action that needs to get done, the problem seems to evaporate really quickly and you get into the flow and you end up losing that feeling of anxiety that comes with focusing on the goal rather than the process. You can think about this. A good example of this could be to think about fitness, for example. If you wanted to lose 60 pounds, it doesn't matter what diet you're on, it's going to take some time. And if you're too preoccupied with the fact that you haven't lost 60 pounds, you're not going to think correctly about the fact that you might have lost 5 pounds. You're going to think, well, that's nothing compared to the 60. That's, what would that be, a 12th of the way there, right? But 5 pounds is 5 pounds and you lost that. And if you were focused on taking the next action, you'd realize, all right, I'm making progress here, rather than thinking, well, I'm not even that close to my interim goal. For example, with me, a good example, I've actually been struggling with this lately, which is why I thought it was a good idea to make this video. I'd gotten to where I was a little too goal-oriented when it came to the YouTube channel and my business that I'm running and my other business that I'm working on with somebody. I started to get a little too goal-oriented and worried about where were the end goals, where were the end goals, and I was missing the fact that the process was occurring and I wasn't focused on it. I was getting a real feeling of anxiety. I wasn't looking at the situation correctly and I was feeling like nothing was happening. So for example, one of my big first YouTube goals was to get to 100,000 subscribers. I just cracked 1,000. Now, I could think about this from the perspective of, well, I'm only 1% of the way there, or I could realize, well, I've got 1,000 subscribers, and out of everybody that uses YouTube, that probably puts me in the top 5%, honestly, because most people aren't content creators. So I wasn't looking at it correctly, though, because I started doing the math and realizing, man, I got this long journey ahead of me. But if I just focus on putting out video after video after video like I've been doing, this thing starts to chip away, and I've actually gotten to 1,000 subscribers faster than I thought I would. So it's actually going well if I just focus on the process rather than the end goal. And when you do this, you have a funny way of getting things to start to work for you because you give up that resistance, that feeling in your body of I can't do this. You start to really believe you can do it because you're watching the thing unfold for you, right? So you're really the best way to handle things, the best way to do this, because I've talked about goal setting being important, is you pick the goal that you really want and then you take the next immediate step. Another problem with focusing on the goal and the outcome that you're trying to get is you don't oftentimes know all the steps that are going to get you there. So the things that have gotten me to 1,000 subscribers are probably not going to be the things that get me to 100,000, because if it is that, I mean, it's going to take years, right? So something's going to have to give so that I can move faster and grow faster and things like that. So I'm going to have to start putting out different kinds of content, or something's going to come to me that's going to help me progress forward faster. And it's going to happen in business. It's going to happen with your health. It's going to happen in all these areas, because the things that get you from point A to point B aren't the same things that are going to get you from point B to point Z, So if you're too focused on that end result, you're going to have no clue what to do, right? One of my other big goals in business, for example, I want to make $100,000 a month. Well, I don't know how to get there completely, because the things that are going to get me to the 10K, the 20K, and even the 30K are probably not going to be the same things that scale up to 100,000. There's going to be something that's going to have to change. Other pieces are going to have to be involved, but you just deal with the spot in front of you. How water, you can think about it this: water, when it goes up against a rock face, it erodes the rock over time, but it takes years and years and years and years to the point where you don't even notice it's happening. And if the water had a brain and it saw that it had to take this rock face down, it'd be this is never going to happen. But if it just one rep at a time just does it, it'll work out for it, basically, and it'll destroy the rock. You hear sports teams talk about this too. They focus on one play at a time. Nick Saban was famous for telling his players that he didn't want them to worry about the national championship or the SEC championship or the Auburn versus Alabama game. He wanted them to focus on the next drill that they were running in practice. Focus on exactly what you're doing right now and stop worrying about everything else. So it's really important that you just focus on process. I think a really big key to think about here is it just cuts your analytical mind off when you're focused on exactly what you're doing. I'm very much like a heady kind of guy. Naturally, I overthink things a lot of times. So I have to sometimes even just really mundane stuff just so I can make sure I'm staying in the moment is reaffirm to myself like what I'm doing in this very moment. Like I was playing in a football game the other day and I have a tendency to start overthinking everything I'm doing, and I might make a mistake on catching the ball or throwing the ball. So I literally figured this out actually, and it works, and you can try this for other areas of your life. But I would literally count my steps as I was maybe running a route, or I would count my steps as I was dropping back to throw, and I would focus on all of these mechanics and different things and focus on that rather than trying to overthink this big picture and think about this end result I was trying to accomplish. And that's like a really easy example to think about. But you can think about this, like I said, with YouTube, putting out a video every single day, or with your business, or with the gym. Just hit the gym every single day. Don't worry about the long-term goal. Don't worry about losing 60 pounds. Worry about this workout and this rep. And I promise you, if you do that, the things will come to you that you need to get into your life so that you can get to your end result. And you'll wake up and realize that you got there, right? Because at the end of the day, another problem with being goal focused rather than process focused is you don't enjoy the process, right? But if you go on like a road trip, I'm going on a road trip in August around the whole country. It's going to be over a month I'm going to be gone. And at the end of the day, I'm going to end up right back where I started. And so if I was goal oriented, I'd say, why am I going on this long process around the country if I'm going to end up right back where I started, right? But if you're process focused, you go enjoy the vacation. So if you can get into the process of doing what you're doing and recognizing that you are heading in the right direction, you can enjoy the thing, right? And you don't want to just immediately get your goal, because if you immediately get your goal, you're just going to want another goal. So get into enjoying the process of getting there and focusing on the steps directly in front of you. It makes your life a lot more fun, and you get to accomplish what you want. One really good tell if you're not focusing on this, and this is like I was saying with me with focusing too much on goals, is I started getting anxious. I could feel the anxiety coming up. And another thing I was doing oftentimes with the phone is I would be checking like different apps, trying to see if I got a result I wanted on there, or checking how many subscribers do I have, how much money have I brought in, how much, you know what I'm saying? Like constantly checking and checking and checking. And now I'm living too much in the goal oriented mindset. The phone has a way of getting you to start focusing on end results, looking for instant results rather than actually focusing on the process. So sometimes it's good to turn the phone off as well. But guys, that's all I got for this video. I really suggest that you pick a huge goal. Pick the goal you really want, and then just take whatever the first step is to get there. And then acknowledge to yourself that you just did that, and affirm to yourself, yes, I can do what I want to do with my life. Like I said, guys, last thing I got for this video, be sure to subscribe, like the video, hit the bell icon so you don't miss tomorrow's video, and I'll talk soon.